Alright, hello. Welcome. Alright, what I'm doing is another blooming video on Madonna's potential death date. Why am I looking, for new people this is, why am I looking at the idea of Madonna dying here fairly soon? Is that it's basically a ritual that is going to highlight the next ritual that's coming up, okay? And so the ritual idea of Madonna dying is the ritual idea of us coming out of the Matrix, okay? She's become the Matrix. She's the old hag right now, right? The old crone. And so that thing has to die before we can be reborn, okay? This would be a precursor to what I believe is going to be the Hoover Dam collapsing, okay? And again, this is basically the 20-year voyage of Odysseus, okay, David Bowman, coming back from the Space Odyssey 2001 event, 9/11, okay? That's that voyage home, okay? And the end of the voyage is basically bursting through the dam wall and being reborn, okay? So the dam is the same symbolism as the Matrix, as Madonna, what Madonna has become now anyway. And so those things, we've had the Queen already die. Again, that's another symbol of the Matrix, the control system. And so this is why I think Madonna has to die here fairly soon to fit in with maybe a potential date that I've got lined up for the Hoover Dam. And that date happens to be the 9th of May, right? Now, for people that follow the channel, you'll already know I've talked about the 9th of May. I was talking about the 29th of January and how that ties into the 9th of May. And the 9th of May is the 129th day of the year. And so we're going to see, I'm going to make some references back to that stuff during the video. But again, I can't explain every little bit, every little detail going along here. So if you're new, it could get confusing, okay? Hopefully, most of the people that are caught up with my work already know, what I'm talking about, okay? So anyway, nothing really matters. Look what we've got in the background. We've got the concrete building in the background here. Interesting. The colors are interesting with the, the orangey sun color, the black. But more interesting is her pose here. Okay, potentially dead at this point, wearing black, like the Black Pearl. And we've got a little bit of red down here in the birthing department, okay, and actually covering the moon as well, because remember the butt is the moon. So we have red covering that, which is again interesting for the idea of the blood moon being the balance of being, meaning that the Earth is back in balance between the moon and the sun. Okay, so we've got some interesting stuff going on here. I don't want to do a waffle on too much about this. We've got the V shapes coming together as well there, which is important. The upward arrow of man and the downward arrow of the dam of Eve. And so we've got a date here, and this is the date we're going to be looking at, which is March the 2nd. Okay, this is not why this stood out to me originally. I just came across it. This is actually a decode that's coming out of my chart of Lorraine, which we'll go to in a minute. And again, for new people, I'll do a brief, quick explanation of it. But we're gonna have to gloss over a lot of this stuff. Okay. So anyway, if I back up a little bit on her videos singles, okay, we go to this one, which is The Power of Goodbye, and obviously that has some meaning here, what we're talking about, okay, and we've got some numbers here we'll look at in a minute. September, so 922 and a 410, and then if we go back one more, we have Drowned World, Substitute for Love, okay, So this is really interesting because the date that I had picked out for the Hoover Dam, well, this is the next date I had picked out for the Hoover Dam, which is 5/9, the 9th of May, happens to show up with the length of this video, or the length of this song. I don't want to keep saying video. The length of this song right here, okay? So we have the 5/9 numerology, and get this, this August the 24th is the counterpart or the twin day for the 9th of May. Okay, so the 9th of May is 129 days gone in the year. 24th of August is 129 days left in the year. So this is starting to look really interesting that we have three songs in a row that are all kind of referencing the collapse of the Matrix, basically. Okay. Right, with that being said, I want to go to the chart now, the chart of Lorraine, what I call the chart of Lorraine. And for new people, this is just a bunch of numbers that are created using the Fibonacci sequence. Okay, these are just Fibonacci numbers started on different numbers. Okay, which gives us slightly different outcomes every time we move along the table. Okay, so this is basically just a table that encodes the golden ratio. And as it encodes the golden ratio, it's all to do with balance. Okay, so what we have here is a table of balancing numbers, and we can look at what numbers are next to one another, what numbers form different patterns in the table. I see I've got a cross drawn in here. This is the cross of St. Andrew, what I call it, the Great Scott. Okay, and what we've got going on here is we can add different shapes and patterns in here, and we can pick out different numbers, and we can kind of infer some meaning to those numbers. Okay, we have two columns like the twin towers in here, the physical and the metaphysical. Okay, which is this blue and this red, and that's basically brings us to a point here, which is the center of this table, which is the balancing point of the whole table, if you like, between this 11 and 18. And of course 18 reduces to a 9, and so we have a 9, 11 in the middle of this table. Okay. For further explanation, of course, look at this video, the chart that predicts the future explained, in my archive, and that'll get you going on it. I apologize, I might end up coughing a little bit through this because I got a sore throat. And I would have done this video yesterday, but my throat was so sore, it was just, I couldn't do it. Anyway, what I want to talk about, right? So I've got this date for the Hoover Dam, which is 5/9, which happens to show up right here. Okay. Now, what's interesting about that is, for people that have been watching my channel, you know that we had two number jump dates from 9/11. Okay, the 7,810 day and the 7,910 day jump. Okay, and there was two dates that come out of that. Okay, so the first is January the 29th. Okay, and then the second one is this date here. Okay, and these are exactly 100 days apart. Okay, so we're on the way to this day here, which is what I had this day. I thought maybe this is the day the dam's going to go, and then I'm like, well, if it doesn't happen that day, then it's probably going to be this day, the 129th day of the year. Okay, and it might not be that day, it may be another day that ties to that day, but it is interesting that those two dates come up. Okay, and they are 100 days apart, and this whole thing is encoded on the dollar bill, which of course has 100 cents in it. Okay, and there's 4 quarters in the dollar bill, and I'll tell you something about the 14, because a quarter is, right, a quarter like that, 1/4. Okay, because this is going to become important again in this video. But you know, where does 14 show up in the table? It shows up right here, it shows up right here, okay, and in between that thing is this 5-9, okay. So that is super interesting. That the quarter again with the dollar bill and 4/4 is maybe, you know, we've got 14 and 14 on either side of this thing. So that is interesting. And of course 14 shows up, n in the Sata table, the Sata square. Again, the 14 is the midpoint, the balance point, and we've got it referencing maybe some kind of balance event. Yeah, because the destruction of the dam would be a balancing event. It's the end and a new beginning. Okay, so it's the rebalancing of the system. And then what's going to happen is, once it's been rebalanced, it's going to spiral out of control again, and then eventually it just needs to reset. Okay. Anyway, blooming hell, it's going to be a long talky video, this one. So anyway, we've got this 100-day jump, and this lot took care of, right? But across this way, I was talking about this the other day as well. We've got this 133 this way, and then we've got this 123 and a 53 as well. Okay, and I talked a little bit about the 315 being a reference to, so if we use that 1 over here with the 315 is a reference to Christmas, to the rebirth of Jesus, I suppose, when you go from 213 over here, okay, and you go 315 days, which happens to be the total of these numbers here. Okay, so this number here, 315, is encoding a rebirth again, and it's encoding from this date here, which again, get this crud off the screen a second. This date here, if we use this 1 in here, and we come in here, okay, we've got this date here, the start of this. So we could use those 2 1s that are in the center here, use them in each one of these, and we have a reference to the rebirth of Christ, 33 years old, the 33-year cycle of the sun and the moon coming back in balance. Okay, so some interesting stuff going on with these numbers here. Okay, but I'm thinking to myself the other day, I was thinking I almost did a video on this day again, because this just came up. Okay, I'm switching gears here a little bit. This is a number that I've talked about with Madonna before several times now. I believe it's encoded into some of her other songs and videos. I restrained from doing it because I was like, you know what, I might just wait and see if it happens. Well, it didn't happen on the 25th of February, but something interesting did happen the day before, which I didn't find out about until I think it was the 26th when I found out. Madonna's brother supposedly died on the 24th of February. Now, I want to point out something very quickly, is that when you total up these columns, like if I total all the way, add all these up here to this point, right, it comes to 410, okay? So if I want to know the total up to this point for all these numbers in this row here, all I have to do is I don't have to just sit there and add them all up. What I can do is I can just jump over the next column. Here's the next column here. Okay, ignore the 410 for a minute. That's just a total column for over here. But all I have to do is jump over to the next column, and it will give me a number that is one more than my total that I'm looking for. So all I have to do is jump over and minus 1 off of this number here, and it will give me this 410. Okay, so there is a counterpart number for all of these numbers, at least all of the Fibonacci, Lucas, and pi and phi numbers that are in this table. there is a counterpart number that is one less. So 224, okay, exists as a total for these numbers here, okay, up to the 86. That's important, right? So let me get rid of all that. Otherwise, we'll just be having a real scribbly mess on our hands. So we have Madonna's brother dying here, you know, or at least a number referencing this column here. And it's kind of interesting, this column. But what's more interesting is this 86 that he's referencing. Okay, his birthday, out of coincidence, happens to be, I believe it is the 3rd of May. His birthday is. In fact, I've got some of this stuff written down. I've got it in a, what have we got here? February. I don't know why I got that up. I can just talk about some of this stuff. I thought, let me know. Madonna's brother here. See what comes up here. Yeah, let's just double check my facts. The 24th, 66 years old. Okay, and I do believe I've got another one up here that says where his birthday. Yeah, May the 3rd. Okay, so this is really interesting because we've got some references with Madonna's brother dying down here. Okay, now where do I want to go from here? Because there's a date that I'm looking at, and again, we've got this being referenced, but her birthday is right here as well. Let me come across here, and we can pick this 168 out, the 16th of August right here, and we've got the birthday here. Okay, so a couple of other interesting things to note with Madonna's numbers is let me show you where else that shows. Actually, it doesn't show up there, but it is. It's going to be a reference in a minute. I'll do that in a minute. But her numbers are here as well. Okay. Now let's draw around these a little bit better. Okay. And there's another place where these numbers all come up as well. Okay. And it's right here, because if we do a difference between 13 and 29 here, that is 16. Okay. If I could write. And then the difference between 29 and 37 right here, again, that is 8. Okay, so this 816 shows up in this column here as well. So that is, again, really interesting with these numbers, with the 168. Okay, so anyway, I want to get rid of all this off the screen here for a second, because there's a little story going on with this 23 and 53. Okay, I think I might have mentioned this before as well. So we need to bear that in mind, that this is, you know, the 7 columns referenced, the 6 columns referenced. We've got this bottom column here with being referenced, and this 5 is important because 5 is the metaphysical, which is what she represents. Okay, so the 23 and the 53, what we have to remember is these are reflections of one another. Okay, let's write it in sort of computer like. Okay, so 53 and 23, yeah, if we had a reflection line, it would be right here. Okay, you can see that they're reflections of one another. This is important because the point where we've got to get back to is actually the point in between these two things. Okay, so if we've gone into one thing, we need to get back out of that thing, and we need to be able to see both sides of reality. We need to balance both sides of reality. Right now, we're not balanced. Okay, the interesting thing is there's a set of rules in the physical side of reality that God put there. Okay, and that set of rules is there to be followed. Okay, in the physical world. So the laws are already in the physical world. We just need to get back to the natural physical world, interpret those rules, and then apply them to the fictional world. Okay? I know that sounds complicated for new people, but just bear with me. That balance line, that mirror, is the window between the two sides of reality, and that's the point of balance. Okay, so as a metaphorical reference, that's where we need to be. Okay, so anyway, that 2-5 is interesting because, again, with these totals coming across, I can start totaling some of these, on the number line. I want to show you something now. If I total up these numbers here, so 1 plus 0 is 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, okay, and then we've got this 3, we're going to add it on now, so that'll be 6, okay, and then we're going to add, am I doing this right? So yeah, 6 plus 4 will be 10, okay, and then 5 plus 10 is 15. Let me see if I can write these in right. Okay, and then 15 plus 6, 21. Are you seeing something here? And then 21 plus 7 is 28. Again, this is a reference that will come up here in a minute. Okay, so forth and so on. 36 is next. We don't need that right now. Actually, well, I guess I could put it in there. Let's put it in. Okay. So you might see like 128 reference in places, and that is of course the day before 129. Okay, and this was the original date that I was looking at for balance. This 129. Okay, because 29 perfectly references this 11 and 18. I'm not going to go through it now, but 29 is super important because it's the combination of these two, the perfect combination of those two. And of course, the thing before that, 128, is referencing these two columns here. Okay, so we got to kind of pay attention to what's going on. The more numbers you put in here, it kind of becomes easier to see how things are referenced. But we basically have a mirror line running right the way down between these two columns here. Okay, and if you look, 15 is a mirror of 21. Okay, so this is really, really interesting now with this idea of 2 and 5 being kind of mirror images of one another. Okay, so it's a bit like the 6 and the 9, but I don't know, it's just super interesting. And so this mirror line here, let me explain something right now. This mirror line here, again, we're dealing with a mirror line between 23 and 53 as well. Okay, so I think I want to just get rid of all. Do I want to get rid of all that? Well, let's leave it on there. Hang on, if I could write again. But again, you can see 36 on each side of that as well, which is again interesting. There's 36 shows up as a total. 36 is a full cycle again, 360 degrees. Diana dies at the age of 36. So again, I don't know where to begin and end with how much I talk about some of this stuff. Now, I want to get to the point now though with one more idea. Okay, because we had the quarter reference here, and there's a quarter code in the dollar bill as well, which I'm not going to explain. So the quarter is, this quarter is a pretty interesting idea because, again, 25, these reflections of one another, is a quarter again, remember? Okay, 25 cents is a quarter. Okay, so this is all encoded in the money. This 114, the CRM 114, it's all about this 14 and this quarter. And there's a day in the year when the 1 returns, okay, and it's actually it's once in every 4 years, okay, and the reason why it's once in every 4 years is because we're adding up 4 lots of the quarter, 4 lots of 25.25 to create one new day, okay. I'm thinking that we are now moving from February into March, okay, and this was where this decode originally came from, was me looking at this and thinking, I'm going to explain it now, but this is me thinking, these two dates are potentially the same day, but if we look at February and March, guess what? February ends on the 28th, okay? And so if we were to do something interesting here, which would be, and I think I've talked about this in a really old video as well, maybe, but if we go from the 28th and we count on now, so in a leap year we'd have this 29, okay? So the 29, of course, is interesting that this comes every 4 years. The 29 is the 1, okay? It's interesting that the 29 is the 1. The 129 that is in the dollar bill, this 129 where we get to here, and a 129 where we get to here with 59, okay? And again, this being interchangeable, 5 changes to a 2, we have a 29, okay? Pretty interesting. Or what you may have seen is 2-6 referenced, okay, and I believe that is the 2-6. The flip of this is a reference to this day here, okay. So Kobe's death ritual there, again another reference back to the end as well, maybe. But anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. 28, 29, and let's write 30 in, okay. Now these dates, if these existed, which they don't this year, but if they did exist, and this one will never exist, the 30, because we don't go up to 30 days in February, but this is a hypothetical, so this is fictional right here. This date is completely fictional, just like the metaphysical is fictional. Yeah, the feminine, fiction, okay, and the male, masculine side of reality, and again, FM, FM. This is what we tune the radio in now, FM, okay? February and March, the feminine and the masculine, okay? Male, female. Now, let's do, so if this is the end of February here, okay, this little marker point, this March will start right here. So this will be March 1st, March the 2nd. Okay, so do you see what we've got here? We've got February, which is the 2nd month, okay, and the 30th, okay, is 2:30 or 2:30. Got to pull a tooth out because it's hurting. Which he does in what's the name, isn't it? Castaway, isn't it? Castaway. What is the one with Tom Hanks? He has to pull a tooth out. 2:30 because it's 2:30. So there's our 2:30, right? That is the same day. That is a fictional day, and that is the same day as the physical day, which is 3 March 2. Okay, this is the same numerology right here. Okay, 0 don't count for nothing. So I'm going to get rid of all that now, but if you're following that, this is interesting because we have a day in here which is a hidden mirror date to do with this 2-3 here, okay, and we have a date here that is a flip date as well of the 2-3, the idea of a mirror date for the 2-3. So I'm going to see if I can get rid of all this because I can only delete so far and I don't really want all this crud up here. Let's see what else we can get rid of. I think I'll go ahead and get rid of all that nonsense along the top now. Maybe should I, shouldn't I? Let's leave it for now. Let's leave it. Hang on. So, where do I want to go from here? So now I've explained to you that the 30th of February is essentially the same as the 2nd of March. Okay, and so we saw in that video, which one was it? Oh, I can't even remember where the hell I had it up now, over here somewhere. Drowned World. So we saw in the, let's go to it, come on. So we saw this March the 2nd with a supposedly dead here, and 427 here for the length of the video. Let's go back to the chart. 427. Okay, let's look at 4. Let's look at the 7, and we're in the second row here. Okay, and so we've got some numbers that will pop out to us, which is this 7 and this 29. Okay, that's the only way I can see to kind of decode that. But this 427, this 729 is Billy Idol's White Wedding, and it's Diana's White Wedding. What do I want to write down here? I don't want to write anything. 729 is the White Wedding, when Diana marries was then Prince Charles. Okay, that is super interesting because Billy Idol's song White Wedding has a ton of references to it, to this whole theme, and it's all about starting over again. Okay, let me get rid of let's undo this stuff. So that's a nice little, you know, the White Wedding. Stop deleting that. The White Wedding is the beginning and the end, the start of the system over again. Okay, so that is important. Let's go back to this now, and let's drop back one. Okay, the power of goodbye. That says it all right there. And we've got this 922. Okay, and this 410. Let's go back. Let's look at that now. Here's the 410. Again, the 410 is referencing the total here, you know, all the way back across to here. All these totaled up, it's 410. Okay, so this 410 is also referencing this number, because we know these two numbers are connected. -1, okay, and the 157, again, 57 is to do with the completion of a cycle. Okay, and if we go to 57 here, 5 and 7, we drop down, it's going to give us this 53 again. So this is important, what we've got being re-referenced here, how this re-references back to this here. Okay, and it re-references back to, you know, 10 and the completion of a cycle. 12 is also the completion of a cycle. So we've got all this stuff going on. Now the 922 is a little bit more difficult to get. Oh, I'm just leaving it. The 922 is a little bit more difficult to get to, but it's not too difficult. Here's our 29, and this number here, this 11, can be reduced to a 2. This is 229 right here. Okay, 229. Again, we're referencing back to, with that number, we're referencing back to balance, basically. Okay, and there is another little interesting reference back with that number. Again, her brother that died on the 24th, if we look at his gematria, we do have the 229 in here in the reverse. Okay, so that's interesting, you know, and he's also referencing a 68 and a 67, because I want to do some number jumps here in a minute, And we've also got with his full name 202, like the two inlet towers on one side of the dam and the two inlet towers on the other side of the dam. Okay, and there's a whole bunch of other numbers. We've got the 14 in here with the 104. So I could go on about this. This 14.9 as well is interesting. You know, 14.9 is part of this number here. You know, we've got the 14 again here. Super duper interesting. Anyway, now I've got rid of that completely on there. Great. Where else did I want to go with this? And then of course we go back to the next one back, and we're back to this 5.9 reference, okay, and the 129 reference. So I'm going to have to start wrapping this up because my throat is really starting to hurt. Plus it's getting a long video, but I want to do a couple of number jumps real quick, and once that's done we'll call it the end of the video, even though I know I'm missing a bunch of stuff out of here and I could probably waffle for a lot longer. So this date here, and again, I mean this day here, I've talked about the 30th of March, the 20th of March here is the spring equinox, so that's important about balance. So we've got a whole bunch of importance going on here. Again, 9/23 is important with balance, because that's the autumnal equinox, and that is Virgo going into balance with Libra. Okay, changing from Virgo to Libra. Okay, so going from the mother or the matrix through into balance. Okay, the cross. Okay, so this is important, and so we've got a lot of numbers all surrounding. We're all down here, and again, that's why I think 3-2 is a very good possibility for her death. Now I want to show you a number jump, and this is pretty cool because there's, so where else does a 3-2 show up? And when we're dealing with completion, we're going to be looking right here, okay, at this 1, 2, 3. The total for up to this point is 3, 2, 1. So this is really interesting. It's the same set of numbers that start the whole thing off. Okay. So again, it's a really interesting set of numbers. And if we just put a line through and separate that off here, this 23, this 2, 3, and we look at what's this other side. Oh, we have a very similar number to what Madonna has for her birthday. Instead of 168, we've got 167 now. So I'm like, that's interesting, because I tried some number jumps, and guess what? This shows up as a number jump. And guess what? If we go to the dartboard, we have that 167 right in commingling with Madonna's birthday here. You know, Elvis's death date. And actually, funnily enough, what was I was watching something from Finis Temporis, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to look up Steve Carell. And again, his birthday, I'm pretty sure, was the 16th of August as well. And he does he's in a bunch of, I mean, I could just go on for ages with Steve Carell, with the references in The Office, and obviously is it Evan Almighty, the one with where he's Noah, and the dam breaks in that. So I mean, you know, but anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. But this 167 is right here, okay, and it's going to take us over to again, it's not got the 1 in it, but we've got the 304. Let me show you the day of the year. Okay, so it's 304 and 61. Okay, we're looking at here, and of course we could insert the 1 here because that's where the 1's going to come out of. So this is interesting with the idea of the 1 popping out of here, And you see the one popping out of here, this would be the pi if the one was to pop out of the 304. So that one would pop out of that hole there. Again, with the dartboard, what I'm saying is we've got her as the dam, which is 314. If you look at, let me show you why dam is 314. Let's click on it. It'll show you right here. D4, A1, and then M13. We have the 1, the A, stuck in between pi, which is 413. So it's stuck in pi right here, the 1. Okay. And what I'm saying here is with this 304, we're talking about this is her death date, which means that the 1 has sprung out of that 0 there, if that makes sense. I know it's just nuts the way I'm talking right now, but we also got the 61 reference there, which if we actually just go to Madonna, where's she at? Madam X is her latest incarnation, I think, that she's doing, is a 61 in the ordinal. Okay, and again with the 25, which is super important with this idea of the 2 and the 5 switching. Again with 2 and 5, with February and May, they're both named for Mary or the Matrix, or the MA, which is Mary and Adam together. Okay, so that is interesting that we've got the two months named for the Matrix or the fictional happens to be the 2nd and the 5th month. Just interesting. I mean, the whole idea of February having 28 days is just, it's completely insane really when you think about it. This is why I had this up. You know, why would we have a month that has 28 days? And they fob you off with some reason that it's carried over from Roman times when they thought it was unlucky to have they thought it was lucky to have an odd number for the month to end on, and so February was the unlucky month, right? And this somehow carried over. I mean, number one, why wouldn't you align this with Christmas? Why wouldn't you add in you could knock off one of these 31 days. You could have 30 days alternating all the way up to December. That could be 29 days long, and you could add in your extra day every 4 years in December and make a 30-day month. Why wouldn't you do that? You know, it would be logical to have it at the beginning and the end of the year. And in fact, why wouldn't you even align the calendar to the winter solstice correctly? Why are we 4 or 5 days off? I mean, somebody can tell me this, but these are the sort of questions you've got to ask. You know, why are we getting a day now where we've got a 29 reference in here for the 1? And I think it links back to that table, and that 29 is the perfect balance of 11 and 18. Okay, and that's why I think this is happening here. You know, February is named for, what was it named for? Purification. Yeah, and again, the restart excuse me, the restart of the cycle is the purification of the matrix, the purification of man. So it becomes really interesting, you know, why are we, was I saying February? What was I just saying a minute ago with March and, yeah, 3 and 5? Oh, sorry, I was getting confused here. I was saying 2 and 3 for Blimmin' hell, Dan, it's getting late. I was saying, was I saying the 2nd month and the 5th month instead of the 3rd month? Anyway, my error. The 5-3. Was I can't remember what I was saying now. Blimmin' hell, getting all messed up. But anyway, yeah. 5 and 3 is the 2 months named. I don't know what the hell I was just saying. But anyway, 5-3. The 2 months for March and May. Excuse me. I hope that isn't blowing your ears out there. But it is interesting. Um, I've completely lost my train of thought now. But anyway, let's do these number jumps and then let's call it a day. Okay. Let me see. Where do I want to go with this? Let's get rid of this stuff. Actually, we're going to do that 167 jump now. Okay. So let's go to this. Let's get this done, because I don't know what I was waffling about there with March, and hopefully I wasn't saying that wrong to begin with. But the third and fifth month are named for Mary. Yeah, that 5-3 right at the bottom of there. Let's do, well, I've already got this one in here. Okay, 168 days, which is her birthday, because people in the gematria community like to do the number, the birthday jump to the death day, and so this would be a minus from her birthday, but it's not that, is it? Because we're going to the 17th, which coincidentally, Sean Penn, who she marries, is born August 17th, and I don't know if they get married on the 16th or the 17th. But anyway, interesting. Can't remember which one it was. But anyway, what we want to do is we want to do that 167 jump, don't we? That was just right there with the 23, and it takes us to her birthday. So that is interesting. Okay. Now, what's even more interesting is if we go back to the chart, this is a day here. I don't really want to explain it, but we're referencing 11 and 2 here. It's also a 187 reference this day, and the 199 goes with the 166, and we're going to do a number jump here and show you something that's interesting, because it wouldn't normally work apart from this year. Oh, what am I doing? It wouldn't normally work, but this year, if we minus 199, okay. Actually, you know what I need to do? Darn it, you know what I need to do? I think that's, how did I have this set up last time? Let me put her, well, that's the right way around for it to work. Did I have that on? Let's do this. This is a better way of showing it, actually. So if we go from her birthday this year and we go 199 days, it's going to take us to that day, the death date. Okay, and this is only working because we're going into a leap year next year. Okay, and then if we do minus 167, okay, it's taken us to that same date. Now, normally, what would go with that would be 166, but because we've got that leap year in there, it's making those two sets of numbers work together. What I'm saying is, normally 199 pairs with 166. So this jump is actually working because this year is going to be next year will be a leap year. So I thought that was interesting, because normally that wouldn't work. Okay, and the gematria people, if they do this, what they will do is, if you do inclusive of one of these dates, okay, because what they do is they count on from the date and it ends up on this day. So if you include the day, it will come out at 168 anyway, which that's probably, if this were to happen, hypothetically speaking, that's what they would, the gematria people would say, look, if you include her birthday and do a 168 day jump, it will take you to her death date. That's what would be said, I'm sure. But anyway, I'm getting to the point where I'm really ready to pack this one in. So it's interesting. Let me recap again with the February and this no man's land of the 29th and 30th of Feb. Those dates there, okay, those hypothetical fictional dates tie in. So this February, okay, the February, which is the second month, if I get what I'm doing right, ties in with these fictional dates to the third month, March. Yeah? So the feminine tying into, again, Mary, if we like, this time, if we change the idea here. Okay? So the feminine tying into Mary with these fictional dates here, 29 and 30. Okay? And then we have March, and then May is also the 5th. So we have these, so the 2, 3, 5 here, all tying together. I don't know. This is all tying together for me. Okay, and it only ties because we've got this stupid, these numbers here that don't exist really, but they really shouldn't. I mean, there's no real reason for having 1 month that's 28 days. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And again, 28, right there. And I'll show you something else with this 28 real quick, because in that Madonna video, let me show you. Ghost Town, the one I've talked about before, where it's like the apocalypse. Okay, I don't know if you can notice this over here, just above this thing here, we got the 28. Okay, that 28 right there. Okay, so this could be a February reference. Again, this could be a reference to this column here, and it could also be a reference to this, because if you flip that number around, 28, you're going to get 58. Okay, and 58, 58 is the eve to this date. Boy, I think that's the place to end that. I really do. I could waffle for a lot longer on this for sure. Oh, there was one more. Oh, blimmin' hell, I've got to link this in. No, hang on. This is going to be another 10 minutes long. We're probably going to be into the day. Hang on. God, I forgot all about this. And we'll also go back and look at some gematria real quick. So some of you will be saying, oh, bloody hell, I thought he was done, and now he's carrying on. Some people might be happy. I don't know. We're back to this idea here as well. Okay, I wanted to come back to this train. Okay, because we just recently had, so I was talking about this and Madonna before, because in Who's That Girl we have this reference to this train here, and Madonna that has taken over the spiritual here. This is the temple. The front of the Rolls Royce is a temple. She's took it over. She just got out of jail, out of Pandora's box, and she's gone crazy, and she avoids the train here. But this is the same, I don't know if it's exactly the same train, but it's symbolized as being the same train that destroys the DeLorean. Okay, and so what we just had is the toxic, and again, Madonna, Britney, toxic. We just had the let me see, the Ohio, and again, this is Who with the I in it. Yeah, the Hoover Dam, the Who with the I in it. Okay, Ohio, and we had this toxic, because the system has become toxic, has been derailed. So we have essentially the destruction of the matrix here with the black billowing smoke, etc. Okay, to me this is a complete setup job, and again we've got some interesting numbers popping up here, which I can talk about in a minute. But the 2-3, this happens on February the 3rd, so it's a 2-3 reference. The derailed train was Norfolk Southern train 32N 3214 32N. So I mean, of course we go through all these numbers and it's super interesting. I don't want to do that right now. What was the 855? I can't remember what the 855 reference was. Apart from, of course, hang on a minute. As much of this as I can. How far can I go back? Excellent. Of course, the 855, here's the 55, here's this, here's the 855 down here. Hello. Somebody mentioned to me that if you look at the clock, 855 is also one hand pointing here, one here, the 11 and the 9, 911. Can't remember. Thank you whoever said that to me. Or it might not have been somebody saying it to me. It might have just been in a comment somewhere that I read. I can't remember. But 855, there was someone else with the 855. I can't remember what it was. Oh, it's an inversion of this as well. That's what. No, it wasn't an inversion of that, was it? What was I thinking? That would be 255. What was it? I know what will happen. It'll come to me after the end of the video. What was it, Dan? Can't remember now. Forget about it. Oh, that was it. It right here, like I was saying earlier, there's a counterpart number to this. Okay, so if you want to know where that 850, that's 588. Sorry, I'm completely round the wrong way, but it's an inversion of it, and it jumps back over to here. So the inversion of that's why I was coming to this point. The inversion of the 855, which is the 588, which is this. Sorry, that wasn't me farting. That was just me making a funny noise. The 855 that's in here is also kind of referencing back to here, which again is this 5-1 or 5-10, and again, you know, we had the tenor. You know, I mean, we're just going all around the block with these references, but 855 right here as well. Okay. Now, oh dang, got rid of the thing there, Dan. I'll just put it back in this color. Right. Oh, hang on there. Well, anyway, forget that. As you can tell, I'm losing the plot here very rapidly. But this train thing, right? This is interesting because it's encoding that same number, okay? And because Madonna, of course, we have the train reference with Madonna and Back to the Future, and I did this one with her. What was it? This one here. This is the one with the Madonna gematria on the side of the train, which is, excuse me again, liminal, which is this train busting through the archway here and crashing down into the ravine. Very similar to the 131, if I could ever find it, of that train that crashes into Eastwood Ravine. And again, May the 31st, which is a 153 set of numbers again, which takes us back down to the bottom of here. Okay, with Clint Eastwood, you know, that train crashing. We can look at some of the gematria with that. Okay, I've got Shonash Ravine 153. Okay, and there's some interesting stuff here. I don't really want to go into it too much. That 198 as well, with the 199 jump, and I think it might actually be another day on. Actually, it might be 200 days instead of 199. I feel like I'm saying all kinds of odd things here. I'm gonna have to go through and edit this video probably, but yeah, this is what we got going on. What else did I want to say? Boy oh boy. Clayton Ravine 159 192. Okay, these are the numbers right here. 129 and 59, the one coming out of it. I don't know. 325s in the outer coronal. The outer bullseye is 75, and 75, 57 is the completion of a cycle again. And again, if you add up to here to 229, 2 through to 29, that comes to 75. Okay, so this is completion right here. 7. Well, we can just about get a 5 there, or 7, 3. Yeah, 7, 3, the L. So this is important stuff. Let me go back to this and just see if there was anything else we had in here. What was I looking at? Oh, Antwerp was up here because she's on her tour on the 22nd of October, which is when that train crash happens. She's going to be in Antwerp, which again, this 97, the 34, 304 of her death. This is going to be in this. I'm going to be talking about this date a little bit coming up. 38, and I can't remember if I'm going into 39 with it or not. Anyway, this is interesting. And we've got the 92, the 29, and it's 97. Again, this 97 shows up down here, and this, towards the end of this thing. Okay. What was I wanting to say about the 122? I had something with 122 as well, and I've forgotten what that was now as well. I'm gonna have to probably forget about that because I have forgotten about it. There was a reference. Just think for 1 second now. What was that reference to 122? Boy, oh boy, I wish I could remember what it was. This is the problem with not having like a million sheets of paper with all this stuff written down on to be able to remember it all. I really can't remember what it was now. Darn it. I can't remember what that was, but there is another thing I want to just mention. And that is when we go to, where were we? August. So we know the 20, we talked about the 24th with the 129. That's the counterpart to 59. Okay, but if we come down here, I want to show you the counterpart. So what's on that train? This is nuts as well. So the train crash, that train wreck, okay, in Paris, right, with that thing was on the 22nd. And actually, I'll tell you what that also is. That's a beginning and an end date reference to Libra. Going from Libra, will come in the end of Libra, and the start of Libra is the 20. I think it's the 23rd of September. So that marks going from Virgo into Libra, and then for some reason this 22nd thing again, I don't know, somehow links to that as well. That's not what I want to show you anyway. What I wanted to show you was the 31st, the one which numerologically speaking, that's a word. 1031 is 131. Okay. 30461. Okay. So that train in Back to the Future, 30461, this day is Halloween. Okay. Again, she's kind of dressed up with the. There is a slight Halloween reference there with the top hat. Okay. But if I could find the right blooming thing now. Oh, I don't want this. This is we don't want that. We want this. This is the 131. Remember I said this is the Matrix being destroyed. And again, 131, Halloween, this thing plummeting, just like this thing plummets. And I probably, in my previous videos, I probably got some better references to this, but I can't, for the life of me, I can't remember that 120. It was a 122 reference. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, this thing being destroyed. Let me just look at one other thing in the table real quick. 2, 12. Oh yeah, it takes us back to another 3. Oh, that's interesting as well. Yeah, so that 122 does take us back to another 3-2 reference with the 322, the skull and crossbones number. So that wasn't the reference I was thinking of. I can't bloody remember what it was now. Oh, maybe that was it. That's going to be a total here. 122 is going to be all the way across here. So it's a reference to the completion up to this point. Okay, so that 4-7 again. Oh, I'll tell you what's interesting about 4-7. Right, so that 4-7 reference, the thing that surrounds these numbers here surrounded by 4-7, right? Here's 4-7, here's the 4-7. No coincidence that these balanced numbers here are surrounded by 4-7 because here's our 4, here's our 7 column. 7 is the combination of these two put together, so the addition of these two, and 4 is what would be down the middle here, is the difference between these numbers. Okay, so the difference between 5 and 8 is 3, and the combination of these two is 13. So there's 313 right here with the 5-8, 313. So 5-8 right here. So this 5-8 is referenced with a 313 in the 4 and the 7. And again, 5-8 is the day before this. So, I mean, I don't know what to say. And 5-8, 5-8 right here, okay? So anyway, I think that was what I was trying to get to. Wish I'd stopped getting rid of that. So that's what I was trying to get to there, is that counterpart date of 122, you know, is us up to this point, okay? And again, this is another column with Madonna numbers. You know, I'm going to take that one off the end of there. You know, this is it's good reference to Madonna. Anyway, that's going to be the end of the video. I think I've covered most of the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Hope you enjoyed. I hope I didn't get too confused in there. I was all over the place with my ideas, so apologies for maybe a few little blunders in there, but that's the bulk of it. And I'm probably not going to go through and edit that, so hopefully there's not too many little misspoken parts in there. Anyway, that's it for this one. It is the day today, 12/12. We'll see what happens. Of course, I'm going to be posting it on the day, but if you look at my clock, we were on yesterday. This was started at least on 3/1. Probably nothing will happen though, so it'll be irrelevant. Anyway, thanks for watching. Alright, I'll catch you on another one later. Cheers, bye.